community. And yeah, so a little bit about myself. My name is Bryan, and I am a consultant, and I do manage a lot of different Amazon seller accounts. So I kind of focus in on the traffic gen and kind of the marketing side. So whether that's on Amazon, off Amazon, that's really where my focus is. I don't really deal a lot with the product selection and that whole process. I just really drill down to getting traffic, getting conversions, whether it's from on Amazon or off. And today we're going to be talking about on Amazon stuff and over the next few webinars. So this is going to be helpful for you. It really doesn't matter where you're at. So if I can get let's do a quick survey. So let's do a scale of 1 to 3, just so I have an idea who I'm talking to. So let's talk about your experience advertising on Amazon. So if it's like you've never run a campaign or you've run a campaign but aren't really familiar, you would consider yourself a beginner. If you could just type a 1. If you've run some campaigns, have optimized a little bit based on what you've seen in the groups, but haven't really gotten any real results, you could type a 2. And if you consider yourself more advanced, you could probably, you could probably do your own little coaching call, right? You've got experience, you've gotten results, you've been able to really optimize things. If you could type a 3, that would just give me an idea of where everyone's at.
We're seeing a lot of 1s.
Cool. So we have some people. Yep. We have some people who are pretty experienced, and we've got some 1s. Okay. So that's perfect. Today is definitely going to be more for the 1s. I'll be honest with you. But that being said, I'm going to present some ideas towards the end, and in my structure, like how I've seen campaign structures work best, that maybe some of the 3s could put into place. But definitely, probably the real nuggets for the 3s are going to come in the second and third webinar, where we're going to get deep into optimization. So, as Naeem said, there really isn't a catch here. I really am coming on to provide a lot of value, and the only thing I ask in return, that Naeem asks in return, is let people know about us. That hey, these guys know what they're talking about, and they're providing value to the community, and just help us grow our brand, like Naeem said. Real quick, I guess a few more things. I do have a group and a podcast called AMG Profit Pros, so check that out. My background is math statistics, so I'm kind of a data geek, and I am passionate about working with sellers. It's the reason why a lot of my business is one-on-one consulting. I find that that's how I can deliver the most value for you guys and take you to the next level. Okay, so let's dive right into it, guys. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, what are sponsored products? I know that's probably the most basic question, but we have to answer that before we get any deeper.
And by the way, just really quick, you guys can see the presentation, right? I forgot to ask that. Just please give me a yes or no. Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right.
Cool.
All right, Bryan.
Okay. So a few. This is kind of like the anatomy of the search page. So you can see here anything that says. Oh, sorry, Chirac. this is me speaking slowly, so I will definitely try to slow it down. This is how I am all the time. Okay, I will slow down. All right. So if you notice the sponsored products part, right? Like everyone knows this, but I just want to make sure. Where it says sponsored, the ad. Now this thing right here, this is called a headline ad, and that's available to AMS sellers. We're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about this section here. So these are the inline ads. This is the right rail. Another section. This is inside of a product listing. It'll say sponsored products related to this item. So again, these are going to be the same thing as what's being advertised out here. Now, for some of you out in this section, so it's coming from the same source, which is your sponsored products campaign in Seller Central. Now, for some of the more advanced folks, you may know this. Some of the intermediate folks, you may not. So if you've ever run a search term report, and we'll get to that. So if you don't know what that is, it's all good. But in a search term report, you're occasionally going to find other ASINs. They're coming from here. So what's happening is the ASIN where your ad appeared and someone clicked, that's the ASIN. So this product ASIN, if someone clicked your ad, that's going to show up in the customer search term report. So just something to keep in mind. If you see those, that's where they're coming from. All right. Why should you care about Amazon PPC? So a lot of you know the main reason for Amazon PPC is to get those sales, right? When you're first launching a product, you know, you put in all this hard work, you've got this beautiful thing that you've built, optimized for keywords, and everything's happening. You list it, and you're on page 20. So you need to get sales. You need to get visibility. That's what Amazon PPC is for. When we launch a new product, whether for our brands or for clients, we come out of the gate strong. So the algorithm, in the first 2 or 3 weeks, the algorithm is a little, it gives you a little love, right? It gives your listing a little extra love. There's no history. So what it'll do is, you're typically going to find you're going to pay a lower cost per click. It's going to be a lot easier to get your ad at the top spot. Basically, the whole algorithm is giving you the benefit of the doubt because it happens. You get a ton of sales right out of the gate. That's why it's important to have a launch strategy and not to just post something and get to it a month later. Have a whole launch strategy, and a part of that is Amazon PPC because you're just going to drive tons of traffic, tons of sales, and you may lose money that first month. That's okay. We go on the negative pretty high that first month, and but that's fine because I'm going to make it all up when we move up the SERP and we get our products ranked and then make it up on the organic. So the point being, in your launch strategy, Amazon PPC is crucial. For existing products, you want to give it a little boost. You want to combine it with a launch strategy. So let's say you do a viral launch or you do another launch service. Combine it with the Amazon PPC. That's going to help you get that spike in sales velocity because that's what we care about. It's not even so much like a particular keyword. I mean, there is some anecdotal evidence that if you were running, whatever, vitamin C serum, that was the example. I don't think I'm giving anyone's product away, but that's a pretty popular product that's been for a while. The vitamin C serum, and that's the keyword that you want to rank for, and you run a lot of PPC on vitamin C serum. There's some anecdotal evidence that those purchases will help your rank. But I think the bigger picture, what you want to do is you just want to get more sales, period, because there's a lot of research that shows that in general, it's going to elevate your rank, your organic rank, across a variety of keywords, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you want to do some stuff to target specific keywords, that's fine. But the big picture is we need sales velocity. That's what Amazon wants. They want to make money. So help Amazon, help yourself. This is like probably the most underappreciated part of Amazon PPC. It is a gold mine of information. It really is a wealth of information. It's a market research tool. I'll give you an example. I had a client, had a product. He was convinced women were the ones who were buying his product. Just absolutely convinced. He had catered the listing to women. It was meant for women, right? The colors, the language, everything. Turns out, in the research, customer search terms, which we'll get to at one point, you can see what the customers are actually typing into the search bar. It turns out a lot of men were buying it. He made some changes. They were buying it for a specific use, so he added that to his images, changed his title around. We'll talk a little bit about title later on, but changed his title around to cater to that sort of, I guess, sub-niche or other use for the product. And basically, within a week, saw like a 2x in net sales, or close to it. It was like 87% increase. So anyway, market research, tons of opportunity there. People think very one-track minded, like sales. Your next product, what should I market next, or what should I come out with next? Look at the customer search terms. Because imagine, at first you're picking that one product, and ideally you should have a few things that you're going to have in your brand. But the idea is to keep some products that are related and used together, because once you've got one product that is being sold, if you then can do some marketing to actually get some email addresses, right? So now you've got a list for your product. You're building some brand loyalty. You're developing a customer relationship. Use that PPC data. You might find there's something they're combining. In their search, they're typing this, and that may be your new product, or that may be the thing you bundle with your current product to give you your unique your unique value proposition or what separates you and increases your perceived value in the marketplace. So again, market research is huge. And the platform is going to mature. It is maturing. You know, a lot of people, it's interesting, a lot of people complain like, oh my gosh, Amazon PPC is always changing, the algorithm is always changing. Yeah, it is. Amazon is bringing in Google consultants to help teach them how to mature their algorithm and how to refine it. So by you getting in now, understanding it now, and just rolling with the changes, you're going to have that competitive edge, I believe, when they start adding more and more complexity to the platform. All right, so there was a lot of information. Is this helpful, guys? Is this something, hopefully there's some new insights already for you, particularly point number 2. So if you could just let me know, yes, something there was helpful, and I would appreciate it. Because as you can tell, I'm like super energetic, so I thrive off the passion here. So yeah, helpful.
We're getting yeses, and guys, this is being recorded, so we'll make this available after for anybody that came in late. All right.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's keep going here. A couple things to consider before you get started. And if you've already been running PPC, just a few things to maybe make sure that you've checked this off your list. So, number 1, competitively priced. This doesn't mean the lowest price, guys. It just means relative to your perceived value, you are offering a good deal, right? So I know there is a race to the bottom going on in a lot of categories, and that's just the nature of any retail. You know, first to market kind of gets the advantage, and then things come down. But there's always going to be premium options. I have clients that have their 50, 70, 80% higher, in some cases double the price of their closest competitors, and they're still doing just fine on page 1. Maybe they're not ranked number 1, 2, or 3, but they're making up the difference in their margin, so they don't need to sell as many units as the number 1 rank. So the point being, make sure that you're competitively priced for the value you're providing, the perceived value. Reviews, I'll show you how to start your campaigns with no reviews, but reviews are important. Data shows that in terms of conversion, so when I'm talking about reviews, I'm not talking about getting ranked, because definitely reviews, from an Amazon SEO standpoint, reviews are definitely part of the algorithm. But in terms of conversion, because reviews here, I'm talking about conversions. If we're paying all this money to drive traffic to our listing, we want people to make sure that they're buying. That means our data is accurate. So in terms of reviews, the data shows that after about 25 to 30, there's a diminishing return on conversion rate. So basically, if you have 30 reviews versus 100 reviews, as long as they're positive and they put your product in a good light, you're probably going to convert at roughly the same rate. Now, I'm not saying you're going to rank the same. I'm just saying when someone gets there, 25 to 30 reviews based on the research is enough. And then you can always add more. And again, I'm encouraging you to add them. I'm just giving you just from things to consider when you're running PPC. Quality listing, make sure it's optimized, and I repeat it because it's that important. So quality listing, make sure it's optimized. That is a whole other topic. Well, maybe not a whole other topic, but it is a different topic that would require its own webinar. But definitely good images, good copy. Make sure that the things that you really are your main keywords are in your title. A clean title, it reads naturally. Features and benefits in your bullets. Product description. Little simple HTML in there. Call to action. Those kind of things. Okay? Because again, the data is only as accurate as the conversions that we're getting. Right? So we're running a bunch of traffic, but people aren't converting because the listing isn't optimized. That's not going to help us in terms of optimization of our campaigns. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask a question, and I'll make sure to clarify that. Your margins, again, this is an expense, is a cost of doing business, so make sure you got enough room there. And what is the right number is hard to say. We'll talk a little bit about ACOS, and I'll give you an idea on that. But for now, just know what your margins are, understand what you're actually making in profit, and that'll help you be able to determine how much you can afford to spend on PPC, okay? Search volume deficit market, you should have covered this already when you were picking your product, but definitely, if there isn't any search going on, then there aren't going to be any impressions, there aren't going to be any clicks, there won't be any sales. So we need to make sure there's some depth of market. And on that note, what's awesome about PPC as well, when you run your customer search term report, you're going to have the impressions for a customer search term. So you know all those tools that are out there, Keyword Inspector, Merchant Words, Google Keyword Planner, all these other things. They're all estimates, but we don't know the actual search volume in Amazon. What's very cool is we can sort our customer search term by impression, and we can see what has the most impressions. I actually have a client, and this is always tough because I have to talk in, because of non-disclosure, I have to talk in very sort of, roundabout terms. But basically, again, when he ran his PPC, he found that people were searching this very random term for his product, and it was selling. But that wasn't the real nugget for him. The nugget was when he sorted his impressions. This one customer search term, a keyword, I'm not talking about a broad keyword that, has a lot of terms. This one term that people were typing had over 100,000 impressions in a 60-day period. That's huge. So what do you think he did? It was just like he would have never thought to sell that product. And it was, again, market search opportunity in PPC. So, okay, let's see. So some terminology, I won't belabor this. So if you have questions, I'm going to go through this kind of quick because I do want to get to some of the action steps. The big thing I want is to give you something tangible, that you can actually take action on today, not just a bunch of theory like Naeem said. So impressions, this is when your ad shows up. So when I showed that screen with the ads, when it shows up, you don't pay for that. That's just getting your image out there and your listing. Clicks, you do pay for this. So that's when you hear CPC or cost per click. When people click, if it's got a $1 cost per click, you pay $1 every time they click that ad. Bid, this is the maximum you're willing to bid, or you're willing to pay for that click. So if you bid $10 and your nearest competitor bids, 95 cents or $1, you're going to pay just over that in order to win that bid or that click, okay? Daily budget. So we won't go into this too deep, but just know that there is a campaign level budget and an account daily budget cap. The main takeaway here is campaign level budget, that's the individual budgets you set at each campaign level, and it's averaged out over a 30-day period. So what that means is, if you put $10, you're telling Amazon in a calendar month, I'm willing to spend $300. So if you can imagine, if day 1 you spent 5, then day 2 you can spend up to 15. Because over 2 days, it was 10 and 10, so 20. So 5 and 15 is 20. It doesn't matter. It has to average out. Some people, this is one of those things where people say, I have a $10 budget, but I spent $17 today. What the heck? Amazon's ripping me off, and all this other stuff. So what probably happened is just over a calendar month, it still averages out, and you probably just had some months that were less than your budget. Account daily cap means no matter what, across all campaigns, there's a cap on how much you can spend today. So it just depends what you're comfortable with. ACoS, advertising cost of sales. This is a term that gets thrown around all over the Facebook groups. What's the best ACoS? I have this ACoS. Look at me. I'm awesome. I have this low ACoS. So I have perspective. I give you perspective on everything. When someone shows me a low ACoS, I could probably tell you it could be. I'd actually like it to be higher. Someone has a really high ACoS. All right, there's a lot we can do to make it lower. And what's the best ACoS? I'd say your profit margin is a great place to start. If after all your expenses, cost of goods sold, shipping, everything, not including your ad spend, you're at, say, a 35% profit margin, that is a great place to start. Because then what you're doing is you are selling an item, you're breaking even, so you make a $10 item, you make $3.50, but you have to pay $3.50 to Amazon to sell it. That's okay, because then there's a halo effect. There's the impact on sales velocity. There's the impact on, perhaps anecdotally, on that one keyword. In general, it's a good thing. You need sales. So a good starting point is your profit margin without ad spend as an ACoS target.
Hey, Bryan, I think there's a point to be made here. I know that a lot of people who first start in this game, there's a certain expectation that, well, if I'm doing PPC for my first product, first time ever, like, I got to make money, right? And I
Yeah.
think you just mentioned the halo effect. I think that's worth expanding on a little bit. PPC is not about making money. PPC is about getting the ranking out there, getting some brand awareness, getting the sales triggers going. There's a whole lot going on, and your primary mission on your first PPC campaign is really not to make money. If you break even, like Bryan said, then you're doing pretty good, because what you're doing is you're optimizing your keywords, you're refining your budget, and so on and so forth. But don't set an expectation that right out of the gate, my PPC campaign for my first product better make me money. I mean, it's not going to happen. If it does, it's a fluke and you're very lucky, but that should not be your goal. PPC is not to make money.
Yeah, not at stage, particularly not initially, guys. So, this is like a very nuanced point, and I hope I want to repeat it because I don't want it to just get kind of glossed over. Those first 2 to 3 weeks are critical. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, you have to come out of the gate strong. Okay, so I have a friend who runs one of the major launch companies, and we talked about this just 2 weeks ago. We were talking and trading some data. He says, absolutely, when he takes a new product and they have a launch strategy and they release product and they do all their stuff, it is much easier with a new product for them to stick that landing when they hit page 1 to stay there. Taking an existing product, running the same promotion, even giving more away, bumping it up, and having it stick there is very difficult because there's almost this drag behind them of sales history up and down. There's all this history in the algorithm. So initially, when you come out, now I'm not saying just throw a bunch of money out there, but do it in a methodical way, which is what we're going to be talking about. Put that money out there. I'll tell you, we lose money. 100% we lose money out of the gate. And this is what I do all day long. I have a team of other consultants. We meet regularly. Some of the bigger names that you know in this space, we meet regularly. There's 7 of us, and we're all in the same boat. Initially, we lose money. If you don't, that's okay. Like, I'm not saying you have to lose money, but it's normal, and that's okay because we're just feeding that algorithm. Sales. And then we kind of stick that landing, and then we can optimize and kind of think of it. This is like, I don't know if any of you guys work out, particularly guys will go through this. They're like, I want to put on tons of lean muscle and lose a bunch of body fat. That's almost impossible to do. If you've ever seen bodybuilders, when they start getting into their bulking phase, they get actually pretty fat. I mean, they put on a decent amount of body fat, but underneath that, there's tons of muscle that's being developed, and it gives them the power to like lift and all that. And then there's a cutting phase when they're getting ready for their event, and then they lose a ton of body fat, and that's when they're just like shredded, 2% body fat, veins in their stomach, like they lose it all. But they had to sort of gain the fat and the muscle, and then lose the fat, and that's kind of what we're doing. There's a little bit of fat there, but we're building tons of muscle, aka sales, and then we'll trim it down and optimize. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, cost per click, we kind of mentioned that, how much on average you're paying per click for that keyword. And then match types. So I do want to talk really quickly about broad phrase exact. I hope everyone is still awake. If you are, just type anything. Doesn't even matter. Like keyboard head smash style. Just anything. Gibberish. Money, I like it. Anything.
Zuhaib typed anything. He typed anything.
Sweet. All right. Let's do this. Okay. Amazon PPC match types. A lot of you know this, but a lot of you don't. I'm actually surprised when I hop on a call with a client, and I see that they have a lot of campaigns running and stuff. I still run into clients who are a little confused on some of this. So let me just clarify it to make sure we're all on the same page. Broad match. I'm going to use sleeping bag as the example so we can keep it consistent. Think broad match. If you've ever done Google AdWords, maybe some of you have, this is like a modified, a broad match modified. So basically, sleeping and bag have to be in there somewhere. It can be bag sleeping, bag for sleeping, sleeping for bag, vest. It doesn't matter. As long as the words sleeping and bag are somewhere in the term that the search query that the customer makes at the top of the bar, your ad is eligible to appear. So you're in the running with a broad match. Phrase is a little more restrictive. Sleeping and bag have to stay together as a phrase. You can't put anything in between. So sleeping with bag doesn't make any sense, but you can't put anything in between. Well, I should have said that because with is considered a term, and Amazon automatically accounts for stuff like that. But let's say sleeping super bag. That won't be covered in phrase because you split up that phrase. Okay. So just think phrase match. The phrase has to stay together. You can put stuff before. You can put stuff after. But you can't split the phrase apart, okay? And you can't flip the words. That phrase has to stay intact. Its identity is sleeping bag. Exact match is more restricted even yet than phrase. So other than plurals and some exceptions like those filler words, so if, and, for, the, on, stuff like that, you have to keep just that, sleeping bag, sleeping bags. Vest, sleeping bag, is not eligible. If it was phrase match, it would be, but exact, sleeping bag, that's what it has to be, okay? Hopefully that's clear. Negative exact. This is probably one of the more confusing ones, because people go, why would I not want my stuff to appear? I want traffic, I want sales, blah, 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 right? Well, as you're optimizing, one of the easiest ways, so put it this way, I'll back up. That ACoS, I don't think I defined that, so I probably should define that. ACoS is defined as your ad spend in the numerator over your revenue in the denominator, okay? So if you have a $20 product, that's your gross revenue, so what it's listed for, not profit. That's why 100% ACoS is not break-even, because that would assume you get your product 100% for free, and you get to keep all $20, okay? So if $20 is in your denominator, that's what you sold, $10 was your ad spend, then you have a 50% ACoS. So if you can imagine, the easiest way, or basically the only options you have to reduce ACoS, you can make the numerator smaller, so the ad spend can go down, the denominator can go up, so that's why it's easy when you sell a $100 product and have a $2 cost per click or a 50-cent cost per click to have a 0.2% ACoS, and then you post in the Facebook groups, oh, look how awesome my ACoS is, everybody. Not you, you see that all the time. Well, there's so many factors, right? There's a big difference between selling a $20 product and a $200 product because that denominator is so much bigger. So to make your ACoS better, you can make the numerator smaller, the denominator bigger, or a combination of both, right? Negative exact gets at making the numerator or the spend smaller. So when you do the analysis, you might find out, for example, you did a keyword sleeping bag, okay, as phrase match. And sleeping bag has a 60% ACoS, let's say. Well, inside of sleeping bag, there's going to be all these queries, right? Best sleeping bag for camping, sleeping bag for two, and stuff like that. Inside of there, you're going to find there may be some terms that are like, well, let's say you sell a sleeping bag for one person and sleeping bag for two, you're running a phrase match, so your ad can appear for that, right? But that's not what you sell. So people are clicking, they're interested, you got an awesome picture, awesome title, boom. They're like, oh no, this is a sleeping bag for for one person. I need to struggle with my wife in this one. So they're gonna bounce, they're not gonna buy, and that's gonna drive up your spend, right? So guess what? Let's do a negative exact. Sleeping bag for two, negative exact. My ad can appear for all the other phrase match stuff on sleeping bag, but that one customer search term that was driving up my spend, I can keep my ad from appearing. So I still get all the good, and I trim down my spend in the numerator, okay? Negative phrase is like the atom bomb of negatives. It's awesome in the sense that it can just stop a bunch of stuff at once, but it's very dangerous. So use it cautiously. I definitely don't recommend that new advertisers use it. Definitely some of these threes. Maybe you're comfortable enough, but let me give you an example. Let's say you have a product that you sell. Let's take a sleeping bag. It is this is a very heavy, big, bulky sleeping bag. It's meant for comfort and luxury, and that's what it's meant for, right? People are searching lightweight sleeping bag, best sleeping bag for backpacking, sleeping bag that is super duper light. Well, it turns out that lightweight. Every time lightweight appears, people click, and then the first thing on your bullet is biggest, baddest sleeping bag. It's super comfortable, super plush, very heavy. People see that and they go, "Oh, wait, that's not what I want. I want lightweight." So you may potentially find that negative phrase on lightweight is a good idea, and you'll basically, anytime someone has lightweight, when they search for I don't know what it is, right? Because think back to phrase match, lightweight, anything before, and especially if it's one word, lightweight. That almost acts like a broad match because there's nothing to split, just one word. Anything before, anything after. If people search blah, 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 lightweight, blah, 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 your product will not appear. That may be a good option, but again, you can see the power of that. It can keep, literally thousands of terms from, it can keep your ad from showing for thousands of terms. So user responsibility is very powerful, but with power comes great responsibility. So hopefully that was helpful. And at this point, I'm going to talk to you about structure, and I think this is where maybe it could be helpful for some of the more experienced advertisers. Because one of the things I see a lot, people come on, we have a call, they have tons of data, they also have tons of campaigns, and they're splitting their efforts across a bunch of different things because they've heard somebody, in one group they hear this, another group they hear another thing. So I'm going to present what I have found to be the most effective. Let me make it totally clear, guys. I am not in any way saying I'm a guru or I'm the expert. I am always challenging what I know and always testing and always listening to other ideas. I attend conferences. I want to become the best at my craft so I can deliver the best information to folks like you. So this is what I have found to date to be the most effective. But you may see me tomorrow saying something different. If I get a message from somebody and they say, "Well, Bryan, you got to see this data. This is awesome." Okay, so the way the algorithm works, we want to give a lot of sales history, a lot of click data, and a lot of money spent and earned kind of concentrated in one spot. So instead of having a whole bunch of campaigns and splitting our efforts across everything, what we condone or what we recommend is having one product have two campaigns. Now later on, there may be a reason to do other campaigns, but honestly, for 99% of you, this is good enough. Probably for the immediate future, okay? And I recommend you stick to this initially. If you already have, with the one caveat, if you already have campaigns, please, I'm begging you, don't shut everything down and start over. Do that, please. There's a way to get around it, and maybe what you have is working. So again, keep it. If you'd like to implement this, what I recommend is that manual campaign, pick the one that's doing the absolute best. And if you want to build out one campaign as your manual, pick that one and put all your ad groups in there. But whatever you do, don't start over because you have data there, you have history, and when you take keywords and transfer them to a new campaign, they don't really perform the same way as they did usually, okay? Okay, so let's start with the auto. You're going to have an auto campaign. Now you'll notice there's like a naming convention I use. I highly recommend you take like a naming convention like this and apply it. It'll make your data analysis so much easier. So in the second webinar, I'm going to actually get in an Excel workbook and actually show you how I analyze data. And I'll have like tons of video resources. You guys are going to love it, I promise. I've been getting so much good feedback on this, so I think you're going to love it. But to make that a lot easier, we need to plan ahead. So planning ahead by making sure we have a good naming convention. So you'll notice I have auto for auto campaign -product1. So whatever the product is. sleeping bag. Manual product one, so manual sleeping bag. The auto campaign, for those of you who don't know, it's where Amazon will go out and you'll put the product in there, and then Amazon will go and show your ad for what it thinks your product is. And that's very important, which we're going to cover in a second. Very, very huge, like, gold nugget there. That's going to help us. On the manual side, we're going to actually put the keywords in that we want to target, and I'll talk to you a little bit about where we'll start at the end of this webinar. So you can go out after we're done and go start those. Now, the way it's structured is there's a campaign level, there's an ad group level, and then there's a keyword level. So campaign, again, is like a theme. So the theme here is an auto campaign for this product. The ad group is how we organize groups of keywords, and then the keyword is, well, the keywords that we're going to put in there. So if there are any questions on this, we will have some time at the end of the call, at the end of the webinar, and we'll also have, I think, an entire Q&A session, I think. So there'll be a lot of good stuff for you to, or a good opportunity for you to ask questions. So hopefully that's clear. So let's dive into the auto side. So just this one campaign we'll talk about. All right, so the first campaign, the purpose here is, oh, sorry, I think I'm getting a little feedback. Is anyone else hearing that, or is it just me? Okay, it went away, so hopefully it's not.
Yeah,
so weird.
I'm not hearing it. Yeah, no, I'm not hearing it. It's good.
Just you. All right, thanks, Ken. Okay, so to get started, we have an auto campaign. Now, there's a few things we want to do here. The main reason is we're going to start seeing what terms, customer search terms, are converting, and we're going to get to validate the listing. Now, this is something I got a good friend and a fellow consultant, Bryan Johnson. He knows this stuff. We meet regularly just to kind of brainstorm and share ideas. He's definitely top notch. So he definitely, this is something of his that I brought on and use with every listing when we start. The whole idea of validating the listing is you run this auto campaign at a little bit higher bid, and we'll talk about why you had a higher bid initially, but you run the campaign. So after you've done all the optimization, put all the keywords in your back end and your title, you're now saying, Amazon, go run with this and tell me what you think I'm selling. Because what Amazon's going to do is it's going to show you, your ad for all the relevant terms that it thinks you're relevant for. There's two things. One, it starts giving you that data, but two, it gives you an idea. It kind of peels back the curtain and tells you what the algorithm thinks of listing. Most of the time, and what we'll do is we're going to sort the impression by most to least. So basically, what did Amazon show my listing for the most? What customer search term? What that'll tell us is, does Amazon have our product right? Is it showing us for the right stuff? Because if it's not, then we need to back into our listing and tweak some things. Look at our back-end search terms. Let's see, what is triggering the algorithm to give us this kind of wonky result, okay? Most of the time, though, you'll find it's related. Now, it doesn't have to be the exact product. I mean, if you're selling a sleeping bag and it says camping gear, but that's not my thing. Like, it could be unrelated or, I don't know. It can be close. What I'm saying is, does it have anything crazy? Like, I've literally seen sleeping bag and ice cream machine, like very way off, okay? As like one of the highest impression terms. So that's something you're going to have to go back in your listing and tweak, and there's a refinement process, rerun the auto. But in most of the time, it's okay, but it's kind of a box that we want to check. So start with that $2 or $3 bid. We do that because we want to basically give Amazon free reign. And what a lot of people say is like, dang, that's a lot. Like $3 bid, like that's going to spend tons of money. And yes, it will. We're going to use a $10 to $15 budget, and I guarantee you will go on budget every day. Amazon, very good. If you give it free reign, they're very good at spending your money. Trust me. But that's okay. We're only going to do it for a few days. And we're just saying, Amazon, go out there. I'm not going to give you any restrictions. Go show my stuff for everything that you think is relevant. And then after a few days, we're going to download the search term report, and we're going to see which are getting the most impressions. Now, I'm going to cover this in the next webinar. If you're, really want to know right now, or you have data and you just want to go ahead and check, if you go to amzprofitpros.com, there's a join up button, and we're restructuring it. I'm actually transferring everything. But for now, you just go in, create an account free, and there's a set of videos there, and you can preview the stuff that we'll be talking about. So maybe that'll be good for you if you already have some experience. I think there'll be probably some new stuff there because, like I said, people have been giving me some good feedback on those. That's step 2. After we've run that, now we're going to lower the bid because, in general, the auto campaign, we want it to have a lower bid than the manual stuff. Because, like, the way that I think of auto, that should be like an ultra optimized campaign. It should have a low A cost, and I think of it as my long tail search machine, right? It's just all day, all night, that thing is looking for these long tail terms. A long tail term, and I'll talk about this today in a second, basically it's a low cost term, typically a little longer because it's closer to the point of purchase. So think the difference between shoes and red Nike trail running shoes. The person who searches shoes is shopping. They're a lot closer to that point of purchase. So the click tends to be a little lower. The conversion is higher because they're ready to buy it. But the volume is lower because people are way more searching for shoes than this very definite term. So I like my auto campaign to be really well optimized. A lot of those negative exacts to really drive the ad spend down. And just have that thing running all day trying to find low-cost keywords for me. Okay? And yeah, that's the auto campaign. So what I want you to do, action step, I do want you to go and start this. So again, the steps are pretty easy. I didn't want to take the time here to like click here, click there. It's super easy. If you go log in, I actually have a video. I think it's PPC video number 2. It's like the mini course video number 2. And I walk through like screenshots. Exactly. Click here, click there, and your auto campaign will be up and running. Okay? Let's see. So again, quick things. Keep in mind, purpose is just to collect data. You may pick up a few sales. Awesome. I will tell you a little bit of anecdotal evidence advice or insight. That's the word. If you run a product and you have 0 reviews and you run PPC and you start making 10 sales a day, and for some of you that may seem absurd, for others of you, you're like, yeah, that's what always happens. But if you're doing like 10 sales a day on a product that has no reviews, just launched, and just PPC, you probably got a good product on your hands there. Whether it be your listing is really good, your price is good, your images are good, whatever it is, it's a high volume market. But that for us is kind of a checkpoint. When we hit that, we're like, boom, yes, we know this is something that we're going to want to pour some money into. So that's a good kind of barometer for you to set. But if you don't hit that, don't worry, it's all good. There's still tons of stuff you can do. It's kind of giving you a little insight into the stuff that we look for sometimes. And yeah, it's going to run out of budget. That's all good. Remember, high bid for a few days, lower the bid, and then let it run. Now, how are we doing on time? Do I need to start talking fast, or am I good?
So for the hour, we have 20 minutes left. So instead of 1, we started at 1:30 Central, so it's 2:10 now. So we got about 20 minutes left. I think we can be maybe a little liberal with that if we need to be. Okay, cool. Because I do want to leave a little bit of time. I'd like to answer a few questions for you guys. Because I know there's probably a few out there. If I could find my cold brew, I could turn this I can go 2x speed, just so you know. Okay. All right, so let's talk about this manual side. All right, general guidelines. Initially, there's a lot of different theories on this. Personally, I found the most success with starting with a phrase match on the keywords that I bring in, okay? We'll talk a little bit more about how this works, but go find the keywords, bring them in, do phrase match. This kind of combines the best of both worlds between the broad, which is just going to be like scatter this wide net, and the exact, which is going to really limit you. The reason I don't like doing exact match right off the bat, as your first manual campaign or ad group, you've never tested these keywords. So if you do, I'll talk about Keyword Inspector.
you do a reverse ASIN, you do it on your competitor, and you got all these awesome keywords that they're just crushing it with. Well, you don't know if that's going to perform for your product. So I like phrase match because it'll hit that exact, but it'll also leave some room for you to see, some other terms that maybe convert. So I think at first I like phrase match because it strikes that balance. I'm a big fan of starting with higher bids. We talked about that. So make that push. Get the word out. Get visibility, brand recognition. Boom, 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 boom. And then we can always optimize and lower the bids later. So what's high? I don't know. I mean, we go really high. Like, we might go $10, but I'm not saying go $10. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said it. I should have learned that at my days as an actuary. Never put a number out there because the boss will never forget. So start at 5. Let's put that. And then if it just gets out of control, then you can always lower it. The point being, you don't know what like the top guys are paying for spot 1 unless you go over it at first. So you need to kind of gauge what's the top price, and then you can optimize from there. Okay. Impressions. This is something I get all the time. A question I get all the time. So I want to put it to rest, and I actually have documented like letter from Amazon because I actually have a standing call, and no, nobody else can join. I have the full strength to get this, but I actually have a call with Amazon advertising reps. It's awesome. Learn a lot. So I will deliver it all back to you guys.
Can I come over and wash your car, Brian, like once a week or something to get in on that call?
I think hey, you might have some in your group. You might have some big sellers. Some of the bigger sellers have this, so I think you got some guys in your group who can do this. And I have a feeling that he's just being nice. I think he might have the same opportunity himself. So impressions first. They go to the highest bidder. Okay. If all else is equal, you got the same bid. Exact will typically trump the other match types, and phrase will do more than broad, and then finally broad. The big question I always get: am I going to compete against myself? No, you will not compete against yourself. Okay. The algorithm is smarter than that. They know that the bids are coming from your ad groups, your campaign, so you are not going to compete against yourself. Again, the impressions are just going to go to the highest bid. So if you've got one for $1, one $1.05, the dollar bid is not going to drive up the price artificially on that $1.05. It's just all the impressions are going to go to the $1.05. Okay. And then again, the objective is to find a good mix of high volume, long tail keywords. I'll talk about that really quickly in a second. Typically, high volume keywords, so like we said, shoes, are going to be more expensive, and they're going to convert more. So what will typically happen is you're going to find you'll have kind of your higher cost, maybe lower profitability keyword is going to drive a lot of your sales. Okay. And that's always the conundrum is like, what do I do? How do I do this? So there's things we can do. This is more advanced optimization to try to tweak that profitability. But the most obvious thing to do is let's go find some stuff that's lower cost to offset so that overall we're at a good target A cost. Okay. Really quickly, long tail keywords. I just wanted to show you this. So the idea being that as we add more words to the search term, and we get closer to the point of purchase, impressions go down, but our cost per click goes down because there isn't as much competition, and the conversion rate actually goes up because people are much closer to that point of purchase. They're not just looking for shoes. They're not just looking for a sleeping bag. They're looking for a blue sleeping bag for 2 that's lightweight, right? So there's a trade-off. One has more search volume. The other has less, but it's going to cost you less. So we want that mix of the ones that are high and low. Okay, so there's tons of places we can go to get keywords. And again, this is for the manual campaign. So if you remember, we are now talking about the manual campaign. Oh, I should talk about this. So the reason I put this naming convention, I've got broad phrase exact. I'm not saying you have to do broad phrase exact. I'm not saying you have to do it all. It's for all to take one keyword and do it in broad phrase exact. I'm just showing the layout here that I like the consistent naming convention for the ad group to be match type and source, because that way I know what's in there. I don't like to mix and match types. Like 98% of the time, I will not have broad phrase exact in the same ad group. Okay, I like to keep things very organized. It makes it way easier to optimize and to kind of know where your keywords came from. And I like to have the source. Probably not completely necessary. Typically what I'll have is I'll have an exact ad group. Like once I have things that are converting, I'll have an exact, in brackets, converting customer search terms ad group. So once something is converted 3 or more times, it kind of wins, right? And I know I need to start targeting that more closely. So I'll typically put that in its own ad group, and that ad group will be called exact converting customer search terms. And I just I'll play off the bids there. And sometimes I'm willing to actually lose a little bit of money because I know those generate a ton of sales for me. But again, that's very product specific. The point being, please keep a consistent naming convention. It's going to save you tons of time. So the keywords. Where do we get these keywords from?
So Brian, just really quick,
oh, yeah.
what is source on that slide?
Oh, so like actually, which one on the list did you get it from? Did you go to Keyword Inspector? Did you go to Google Keyword Planner? And then source is where did you go? So I think for me, I like to see it because I'll tell you right off the bat, and I know the guys who have developed a lot of these software. So Google, Keyword Inspector, Merchant Words, AMZ Tracker, which actually, well, anyway, AMZ Tracker, Scientific Seller, where are they? Okay, so Scientific Seller is another one. I love them all. These guys are all brilliant who developed them, but in my experience, Keyword Inspector has given me, when I look at source, and I look at all my ACOS and performance and sales, Keyword Inspector has been the most effective for me. So that's the one that I don't know, I just have a little preference for that. For you, Merchant Word would be awesome, and you may love Google Keyword Planner or AMZ Tracker or whatever it may be. So it really doesn't matter. Just that's why I put the source so that I can test it and know it's working.
So another question, if you can jump back to the slide, somebody asked this, and I'll tell you what I do, but I'd like to hear from you. When do you run the auto and manual in conjunction, or do you start with one and go to the other? And what I typically do is start with the auto for 2 weeks, gather that data, and then I'll drop the auto, and it'll only be manual, and I play with that. But what's your best practice here?
Yeah. So what's good about the auto? If you remember, sales are a bonus, so we can run that with 0 reviews, and we absolutely do. Right out of the gate, let's run it. In that time, you should have already had, and not you, Naeem, like all the viewers, you should have already had a strategy in place for your launch. So you're going to launch that auto campaign. You should be able to get your reviews, and again, 20 or 30 reviews. That's all you need. So you don't have to go crazy and get 500 reviews so that you can make sales. 20 or 30 is a good benchmark. So while that auto campaign is running for about a week, you let those reviews start coming in. After you have about 5 or so, 6, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Get that manual running. I highly recommend having both running at the same time. But again, the auto is kind of like in the background, right? It's lower bid. It's got a lot of negative keywords. It won't make a lot of sales, but typically the ACOS is going to be really low. I mean, I shoot for, again, I shouldn't say this because we talked about this numerator and denominator. It can vary wildly. But I don't know, 20% ACOS is kind of in my auto. I just want that to be running smooth. I have some that have a 5% ACOS. I have some that have a 30% ACOS. So I just want that auto to be dialed in. That's all. So low sales.
Is that a lifetime thing for you? Do you always have that on, sitting there?
Yeah, because I want it to always be hunting for those long tails. Like, just let Amazon. I'm basically kind of putting Amazon to work for me and making sure that I'm not making them any money in the process. Like, I'm trimming that ACOS down, so my ACOS should be lower than my profit margin. That's like the big key. I really want my auto campaign, for my ACOS to be lower than my profit margin. That means I'm making a little bit of the difference, putting Amazon to work, and yeah, indefinitely.
Awesome.
So, okay. So this, again, this could be its own topic. I just mentioned in my group yesterday, I did a Facebook Live, and I mentioned to them that this has been a project I've been wanting to do for a long time. I want to start putting up videos in that same section that I mentioned at A and Z Talk Pros that showing here saying with the videos. I want to start putting out videos of how I use all of these. Not 2-hour videos every single thing I do, but maybe one, gold nugget or one really high, main use for each one of those tools. I think that'll be useful. That'd be cool. I'll get your feedback. So as you can imagine, I am super busy, just like your fearless leader, Naeem here, and prioritizing what I should do is actually pretty tough sometimes. So if you guys would comment, you would find that useful, that'll kind of motivate me. Honestly, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, all right, what's the most important thing I have to do today? Once I knock that out, it's up for grabs. It could be a variety of things. So if I get a little feedback from you, honestly, if you type in the chat bar right now, hey, that would be cool. I'd love to know how you use Keyword Inspector, like a tutorial. I'd appreciate it, because I'll go ahead and I literally will sit down and put that together for you guys.
So guys, would video tutorials be helpful on the various tools that Brian's talking about? Just give us a yes or no if you're not going to look at it.
Yeah, or no. But I know that Andres, Alicia, Mohammed, Juan, all right.
A lot of yeses.
All right, so as long as there we go. I've got a dozen people that are going to watch it. That's worth my that's worth the slazing over. No, I'm just kidding, guys. It's awesome. I love putting the content out. Like I said, I do like to help you guys, and hopefully you find over this series of webinars. I really do like to provide as much value as I can. And again, the trade-off for us or for me is you go, wow, this guy really helped, and let me tell other people about him, because that's like the win-win for us. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to recommend, and let me see. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to do. There's a bunch of tools. I'm going to recommend you do this. This is the place I would start. Go to Keyword Inspector. Okay. And I have a link. Maybe I'll give it to Naeem. I have a link. I think it gives a discount on the credit. It's an affiliate link, but I think there's a discount attached to it. So I'll give it to Naeem if you want to click there. If you don't, it's all good. Keyword Inspector, I would do, so go into your competition, type the main keyword for your product, pick the number 1 or number 2 competitor. Now the criteria I like to use, we need history. So the way Keyword Inspector works best, reverse ASIN, and I'll tell you what reverse ASIN is in a second if you don't know. It works best when there's a lot of data, a lot of history there. So pick someone who has a lot of reviews, do camel, see if they've been selling for a little while. They've only been selling for like 2 months, there's not going to be a lot of data. They've been selling for like a year, and there's tons of keyword data there. Grab their ASIN. The best place to grab it is from the URL bar. There's going to be the ASIN right in the center of that link. Copy that and do a extensive reverse ASIN for that product. What you're going to get is an output of all the keywords that they rank for, where it's located in the server. So it'll say 1 through 20, I think, which means, page 1 is usually 1 to 16, and then a few on the top of page 2. So do that. Then there's going to be an estimated search volume. Now, it is estimated, but what I can tell you is, and I talked to James Hart about this a lot, while the specific number is estimated, the relative measure between them is pretty accurate. So what I mean is, the one that's at the top definitely has a higher search volume than the one that's number 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in between those. But that relative measure is very accurate. So grab the top. I'm not a big fan of taking like 1,000 keywords and just dumping them into an ad group. I would rather you take the top 50 or 100. The exact number does not matter, guys. So let's call it 100, just so we're on the same page. If there aren't 100, then grab all of them. Take the top 100. Put them into a phrase match ad group. So basically, think about it. You're going to have your auto running. You're going to have manual. Inside of manual, you're going to have this phrase, Keyword Inspector, and whoever the competitor was. So you know that was the source. Keyword Inspector, and then the competitor name. Do a phrase match. And as far as bid, again, I would start a little higher so you can gauge where it's at and let that run. Put a budget you're comfortable with. Definitely don't overspend. but that's going to start giving you some data. So you're going to have your auto running. You're going to have this manual campaign. Now, I'm not saying only do that, but I want to keep it simple because I want to hold all of you accountable. Because if you don't do this and you come to webinar number 2, you're not going to have any data to mess with, and you're going to get the most value if you've got a data set that you can start picking apart and analyzing. So I'm challenging you to call to action, guys. At the very least, do one of these. If you want to do a few others, absolutely do it. But I would recommend that you do them all as phrase match and stay within a budget that you can handle that fits within your ad spend, which you've allocated.
So one thing I would add to that, guys, if you want to go the free route, because, again, we want to be sensitive to budgets and all that, the Google Keyword Planner is a free tool, right?
Yes.
So you could take that route, just to get started. Highly recommended that once you get going that you do kick it up a notch and get a more professional tool that has more features like Keyword Inspector. But Google Keyword Planner is a way that you can get in there and get a lot of that stuff for free. It's not quite as powerful, but I've used it before, and it's pretty good, I think, for free.
Yep, it's a great start, and a little trickier just because it's a little different because Google is more of a search engine, whereas Amazon's like a buying platform. So you just have to watch out. I'll give you a great example. I heard a story. It wasn't a client of mine or someone else's client, and they sold stuff that had to do with the French Revolution. And when they went into Google Keyword Planner, it was like French Revolution thesis, French Revolution school project. So if you took those and you put it into Amazon, probably not going to get a whole lot if you're selling some French Revolution pin or something. So keep that in mind. That look at the intention of the keyword. So if it's more of a buying keyword, best French Revolution pin, well, there you go. That's a good one. So I think for now, that's good. Okay, that's it.
All right, cool.
Let it run.
So let's.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, just again, call action, guys. I'm sure Naeem does a phenomenal job on this, guys. I talked to him. He really cares about you guys being successful. It's awesome. He's put together an awesome community. He's inspired me in terms of kind of ideas and things I can do. So he's good about pushing you guys and being like, no excuses. Let's do this. Let's be successful together. A rising tide, elevates everyone. So let's do it. Let's do it as a team. And I'm just trying to do the same. Just a call to action. Go out and do it. Because honestly, the key to success, at least what I've found from people across all different industries, they just keep showing up. It's tenacity. They get up, and it's so comfort that there really is no secret. You'll be amazed, and when you just keep showing up, the opportunities that open up, the people you meet. And then what will happen is someone else will go, but you knew that person, or but you had a great person to source product from, or you had a great person that whatever. How do you think that happened? It wasn't an accident. They just showed up. They went to meetings. They went to the Prosper Show. They went to Amazon gatherings. They went to events. They were in groups. They were always showing, and opportunities opened up. So again, I know you've probably heard that 100 times. I'm just going to be another broken record telling you the same thing and encouraging you to just show up every single day. So anyway, that's all I've got. And run that, and then we're going to just crush the numbers on the next webinar.
Awesome.
So if you want some info, it's all there, but I'll let Naeem take over here.
So thanks, Brian. So guys, a couple of things here. We'll do some Q&As for a few minutes, because I know we've got questions coming in. So just go ahead and start typing your questions, and we'll try to get through as many of those as possible for, let's say, about 5 minutes. Just want to be respectful of your time and Brian's time, and everybody's busy. Totally get that. The takeaways here, guys, as Brian said, if you have not started your campaigns, you should have enough information in here now to go ahead and get going. The best way to value out of this is you come to the next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks. So we're going to give you guys enough time to get your campaigns going, set up and all that, so that you show up the next campaign and the basics are down. You understand ACOS and you understand, PPC and all that stuff. and you then review your data, which is what we're going to do. Each of the webinars is going to be. So this is homework for you guys, so don't just show up at the asking the same questions. Do your homework. Bryan's got some amazing resources in those videos in his group, and I'll post all this again in my group as well as in the newsletters, so that you can go check it out. Watch his videos. Tons of great information. Follow up on that, and then again, guys, please share and like and get the word out. Brand, help Bryan's brand, help my brand. We're doing all of this, and what we're asking in exchange is that, you guys, if you guys truly feel you got some great value out of this, you let the world know. And I think that's a fair ask in return for the time and all the hard work that Bryan's put in. So let's go ahead with some of the questions. And Bryan, if you want to just start taking them and answering them, just firing away, I think that'll be good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just scroll through here. Let's see. We'll kind of work our way. Make sure I get everyone. So, how is the new keyword inspector reverse ASIN PPC feature? Awesome. So I'll cover that. That's kind of what I would consider more of an advanced tactic that I promise you won't hear in many spots. It is I'm not blowing smoke here, guys. Like, seriously, this is probably one of the things that are better kept, like, as a secret, and that we use. A lot of people don't really, they see it, they're like, oh, that's cool. There's like one thing we do that's kind of sneaky, and it's pretty cool. But I am going to leave a cliffhanger there because I want you guys to go to the next one, okay? Because if I give you too much now, then you won't do this. I really want you to do this so you can get started, bring the data, and then I'm going to show you some of my absolute favorite things I do to form some ad groups. And you'll find this is a lot of stuff that I tell my clients. The difference being that with my clients, we get into their data. This is going to be kind of a more general discussion, but definitely things that you can still apply.
So Zuffer, your question on how would we know what is the exact bid amount by the competition? So here's the quickest way. If your bid is $1 and you're not showing up on page 1, you're like on page 3, or you're not even showing up, your bid is not high enough. Keep going up. Go from $1 to $1.50 to $2 eventually, and you got to wait. You're not going to see the change right away. Eventually, when you get high enough, you're basically paying for position. Okay, so that's how you know if you're paying $3 and all of a sudden you appear on page 1. That's how much your competition is paying for. So that's how you know where your competition is at. Shane is asking, would you recommend misspellings? I do. Bryan, you want to chime in on misspellings?
Yeah. So.
And by the way, just a quick comment on the misspellings. I always have a grudge whenever I put those words in purposely misspelled, because I'm like, I have to pay for ignorant people who can't spell. They're taking my money. but you have to.
Hey, as long as they buy, that's all I care. We'll cater to them. So yeah, there's a whole school of thought on misspellings. So typically, if you go to the documentation, Amazon will say, "Oh no, we cover misspelling." Well, in my experience, they don't thoroughly enough. So I'm a big proponent of it. In particular, if there's one time where I don't need to give a whole story or a whole explanation. If you have a product, that has a brand name. So, for example, what's like a really good let me think. Okay, so my last name Bowman. Okay, it's Bowman, and maybe a lot of people don't know. They type Bowman, Bowmen. Include that misspelling. That is probably the one that I've seen shoot sales up the fastest. And I'm not saying shoot. I don't want to be, I don't want to be all like exaggerate, but like 10, 15, 20, 30% increase, literally from taking something that's just a common misspelling like that and plugging it in, particularly with like a brand name. If people are searching for your product, if you happen to be, this happens with my clients that are. So I have a lot of private label sellers, but I also have big well-known brands that come to me to run their marketing and traffic, both on and off Amazon. So when we take their name, because for them it's like, well, everyone knows our name, that's what it is. And when we just tweak the spelling, oh, we see a spike in traffic because now they're eligible to appear. And that's a whole SEO discussion for Amazon. And actually, I'll let you guys know because I don't think I've told anybody this. I'm actually writing a piece for. I wonder if I can disclose the name of the company. Well, anyway, it's Shopify's biggest competition, and I'm writing a piece on Amazon SEO. So I will link that to the group when it's done. It's comprehensive. Awesome. It's over 5,000 words, and it's basically everything that I've found and how to. Actually, a how-to, not just theory. So anyway.
Awesome.
Misspelling's good.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Andreas is asking, can you talk a bit about Keyword Builder tool? What is it and how to use it? Or is this the next webinar?
Yeah, so if you've been in my group, there's this post I did in February. So this is what happened, guys. Remember I told you I'll wake up in the morning. I have my absolute most important things to do, right? Because as entrepreneurs, our brains are all over the place. And we shiny. So I pick the most important thing that's going to get me a raise today. I'm always trying to give myself a raise. Right? Something for my business that is going to grow my business. That's my most important thing. And after that, the day is up for grabs. Hopefully there's some time left to do some things too. That listing builder tool, I literally was like, oh, this would be fun. And I just coded up something in Excel, VBA. So it's a cool tool. I'll be totally honest with you, though. I think there's better stuff out there now. It was never meant to be something I was going to market or sell. It literally was on a whim. This would be cool. Let me give it to the group and have them play around with it. So I think that's what you're referring to. Hopefully it is. I won't be talking about that. If you guys want to go into my group, request to join. I'll let you in right away, right? And then you can check it out. But it's okay. I think there's way better resources in the group than the listing keyword tool.
So Yusuf, there are videos to do data analysis on the collected data. So that's what we're going to cover in the preceding webinars. Zafar is asking, does Keyword Inspector have any tool to analyze and optimize ACOS? So I don't use it that much. I don't know, does it do that kind of stuff or just give you the data?
No. So what I'm going to show you guys is a way where you can do it. I mean, if you have Excel, I'm going to show you where you can do it totally for free. And I don't know. I like free. Sure. That's why I do all my analysis on my own. I actually don't have any software. If you're looking for software that will do it, I would say my buddy Bryan Johnson's software, PPC Scope, is probably a good bet for you. So you can go either way. But I'm going to show you at least an option where if you want to do it for free and do it literally dollars an ad spend, literally. I do it in Excel.
So let's take another minute, and Bryan, if you can drill through these really quick, because we're kind of going on here a little bit, but I do want to try to answer them. So maybe just a couple of word answers for each one.
Okay. I can run through them. So any experience with Scientific Seller? Yes, it's awesome. Go use it. You mentioned the scenario where someone would spend $5 on Monday, $10 on Tuesday. Are there better days to spend more money than others? It's going to be really product specific. For example, I have a customer that is in the fitness niche, and they find that sales peak on Monday. Not surprisingly, people drink too much on Sunday. They peak on Monday, down, peak on Monday, down, and it's like that every single week for the last year. So it's going to be product specific. Any idea on what the average dollar bid is? No. That's why we start high, product specific. If you have a product that sells for $50 and you pay 50 cents on average for cost per click, God bless you, you are going to be rich. No, I don't know, but you have a good chance. I have seen Spanish words also. Yes, we use them. Would you recommend to go for exact match with the accurate keywords gathered using Keyword Inspector incentive search tools in order to reduce ACOS? Would you recommend to go for exact match with the accurate keywords? Accurate keywords, could you elaborate?
So I think they're asking, would you do exact versus, broad or phrase or whatever? Okay,
so you can. Listen, you absolutely can. I really want to make sure that I'm not, and I kind of tried to say that. I'm not saying these are hard and fast rules. The things that I thought were more important, I definitely tried to point them out. But honestly, guys, if you want to run it as phrase and exact, go ahead and do that. I would recommend making the exact ad group a little higher, the bid. So if all else is equal, you've got sleeping bag, phrase, exact. make the exact bid just a little bit higher, because that'll funnel the exact matches for sleeping bag into here, and then that sleeping bag, blah, 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 will go into here. Okay?
Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to go. Thank you so much for taking some time with us. Thanks, Bryan. Awesome job, man. Really, really appreciated. So again, a couple of takeaway, guys. The next webinar, I'll announce it probably later on this week. It'll be 2 weeks out from now. In the meantime, go do your homework. Go watch the videos. Go join Bryan's group, and he does that tutorial, walks through it. You gotta, I think Bryan has given us a lot of insight, a lot of great information. But now you've got to go do your homework, and you have enough time. So I'd recommend taking some, you take the learning and then go do the action, right? Commit to it, and you'll have a lot better insight when we do webinar number 2 and webinar number 3. For the giveaways, I'm not going to do that now. I'll come up with something after. We'll probably do it in our group. I do want to make sure that we give that out and reward you guys. And then lastly, let's get more people into webinar number 2, okay? We're going to have this replay. I'm going to send that out. So please share this, get this out to your communities. And there was a lot of stuff covered in this webinar. And I know some of you from experience, I know from the questions, are probably a little overwhelmed, okay? So that's okay. The way that you're going to get over this to say, man, like, I don't want to become a PPC expert. You don't need to. What you just need to do is understand, what are the 5 things I need to understand to run my PPC? When you go through this initial learning curve, you're not spending 2 hours on your PPC every day. You're like down to like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes sometimes. There's days I don't even look at it at all, right? I look at it maybe once a week. So there is this initial learning curve. Don't worry about being overwhelmed and frustrated. Take your time. Your action right now is to go watch Bryan's videos, rewatch this recording again if you need to, and just take it one step at a time. Once you understand the fundamentals, then the rest of it does become easier, okay? It's not easy, but it does become easier. And remember, this is your business. This is what many of you are doing full-time or want to do full-time. So you have to invest in the business. You have to invest in the knowledge, all right? So again, thank you for your time. Bryan, thanks again so much. And guys, let's get the word out, and we'll catch you in Bryan's group. We'll catch you in my group. The recording I'll send out. Have an awesome rest of the day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.